We are here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bringing news just for you. It's May 10th, Friday here in Seoul. I'm Song Yujin, and you're watching News Generation. Joining me in the studio today is Park Ki-hoon.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, and Walter Lee.
Lovely to be here.
Now, both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. Now, as usual, we're going to start with our news feed, which covers different hashtags and news items that have been trending online over the past 24 hours. We start in Thailand, where Prime Minister Srettha Thavisin on Wednesday announced plans to outlaw cannabis again due to concerns over increased crimes and children being able to access the drug. The Prime Minister wrote on X that he asked the Health Ministry to include cannabis in its list of narcotics by year end and restrict its use to medical purposes only. Now, Thailand became the first country in Asia to legalize cannabis 2 years ago. Now, shifting gears to the West and protests against the Israel-Hamas war, over 250 demonstrators from European Union institutions gathered outside the European Commission's headquarters in Brussels on Wednesday. Now, on the same day in the Netherlands, riot police clashed with protesters at the University of Amsterdam. Similar demonstrations have been ongoing at universities in the United States, urging for a ceasefire in the conflict. Now, finally, back here in Korea, the annual Hangang Space Out competition is making its return for its 10th edition this Sunday at the Chamsugyo Bridge. A total of 80 selected participants will spend 90 minutes spacing out, with 10 finalists chosen by audience vote. The final winner will then be decided based on heartbeat stability. First prize winner will get a chance to compete in next year's International Space Out competition. So here in the studio, I want to ask you, have you guys ever tried out this or participated in Space Out competition? And this has become really huge. It's now its 10th edition. Why do you think this has become so much popular?
Well, I personally haven't participated in this competition, and it's the first time I've actually seen footage of it, and they looked so depressed. So I don't think I would like to be in this this competition at all. But I hear it actually isn't that easy to get in the competition, that you have to have sort of special requirements. There's a limited amount of people, obviously, because they only have so many people who can watch all these people space out. For me, I don't think I could sit in one spot for too long.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's kind of really hard.
It seems really hard, especially for 90 minutes. I would fidget too much, and I think that the boredom would just make me end up going to sleep, and therefore I think I'd be disqualified.
Yeah.
And I think I can think of a lot better things to do with my 90 minutes than just space out. I do space out, but just in my own time.
Yeah, spacing out for 90 minutes seems really hard, right?
It does seem hard.
Yeah, so well, how about you, Kyun?
Honestly, I can run around for 90 minutes, but not just sit down and like, I saw the footage and they look quite scary. Like the faces were like, they seem very depressed. Ghosts. Anyway, but I think, like what Walter said, you know, they all need to have interesting backgrounds. But I think the main goal of this competition is to obviously get their heartbeats going down, like lowering the heartbeats, which is obviously really good for your body. That's why people do yoga, you know, they meditate.
Right.
And I think it's great because like the daily lives that we live, especially youngsters, you know, we're all very busy and we're
very
all kind
hectic.
of nervous as we're very hectic, and obviously our heartbeat cannot really go down or like on a regular beat. So I think it's a great objective. You know, it's great to see that people are really concentrating on their health. I think this is really related to health as well, even though they didn't look very healthy, the contestants. But I think the main goal is to, you know, keep your heartbeat down and just not really like keep your brain like cool down as well, because we're always thinking, we're always on the go.
Right.
So I think, obviously, I would like to participate, not this time, because obviously I didn't qualify.
Well, maybe next year you
Maybe
might.
next year, because I have a very interesting background as well.
Yeah, he does.
That you don't want to know.
Yeah, I think that definitely taking a break and relaxing is important, which is one of the parts that we'll talk about in our main discussion topic today. And that was our newsfeed for this Friday. So moving on to our discussion topic of the day, in today's tech-driven world, it's increasingly difficult to disconnect from our smartphones, laptops, and tablet PCs. Now, this is because these devices have become central to nearly every aspect of our lives, from communication and shopping to entertainment and obtaining information. So as more and more people find themselves basically glued to their screens, there is a noticeable trend among millennials and Gen Zs towards intentionally stepping back from the digital world. Take a listen to find out. Digital detox. It refers to the act of deliberately distancing yourself from digital devices for a period of time. The goal is to reduce stress or anxiety caused by excessive use of technology and to reconnect with the physical world. Given how deeply technology is embedded in our lives, particularly after going through the COVID-19 pandemic, taking a break from screens has become increasingly challenging. However, despite this, an increasing number of millennials and Gen Zs, often called the tech-savvy generation, are investing time and effort to disconnect. So today we're going to talk about this new trend of digital detoxing. So starting off, why do you think this form of digital detoxing has become so popular these days?
Well, firstly, the millennials and Generation Z grew up in the digital age, so it only makes sense that technology was always embedded in our lives.
Right.
And as technology grows ever more rapidly with AI advancement, more and more people have naturally become exposed and dependent on digital devices to a point where you can't really function properly without a smartphone, laptop, or even a tablet PC. This even applies to infants, very sadly. I've seen this many times. The best way to keep your baby from not crying and screaming is to turn on YouTube and show it to them, and then they'll just stop crying. Now, a few decades ago, they only needed a teddy bear or even a soccer ball, to keep them quiet.
Now you need your phone.
Yeah, exactly. But going back to your question, Eugene, the question of growing, the trend of digital detox, people who are spending excessive amounts of time on these digital products have started to suffer from the drawbacks, both physically and mentally, and have realized that they need to do something to reduce their screen time. So to give our viewers a clearer understanding of how many Koreans are heavily dependent on their smartphones, let's take a look at the screen. So according to a survey conducted by the Ministry of Science and ICT in 2023, 1 in 4 Koreans are at risk of smartphone dependence.
That's a lot.
And I'm just hoping that this excludes us 3, but I think it actually includes the 2 of us in the studio. Obviously, this isn't a positive sign as we continue to trap ourselves and live our lives inside the world that is created within the smartphone instead of being present in the real world like now.
Right. So with a lot of people finding themselves being kind of addicted to these digital devices, this is the reason why a lot of millennials and Gen Zs are now trying to embrace a tech-free lifestyle. So what are some ways that we're trying to distance ourselves from the digital world?
I mean, there's so many ways that we're trying to distance ourselves, but the reasons why is because we are starting to see the negative effects that it has on our lives. From being on your phone I'm a person that is on my phone too much. It can cause anxiety from FOMO, fear of missing out. It clearly isn't good for your eyes, especially a lot of us are guilty of it. We look at our phones in the pitch dark and just basically use it as a light for itself. Not great for your eyes.
Terrible for your eyes.
Very terrible for your eyes. It interrupts your work as well. I know that, being a freelancer, I do a lot of work from home, and the first thing I do after I get a little bit bored with my work is go straight onto my phone with social media. It interrupts your sleep as well. I'm sure many people out there have been on this YouTube wormhole and realized, it's like 2 a.m. Yeah, exactly. It's 2 a.m. in the morning. I got to go to sleep and get up at 5 o'clock to do news gen. Right. So many, are welcoming this new change in their life. I know that I've tried to do digital detoxing in the past, but due to always having to be in contact with the people I work with, and that's not an excuse, that's actually the real reality of it. It's impossible for me to stay away from my phone.
Right.
That's why when I retire, I want to move to the mountains and live technology free. I love tech.
Walter's big dream.
But my big dream is to go to the mountains and live in a tech-free society for at least a weekend.
There's actually a program, a Korean program called 나는 자연인이다.
Oh, I know.
Go into the wild.
Doing complete digital detox.
Yes, that's what I want to do.
Right. So Walter has tried digital detox. I've also tried digital detox. I've used the app that helps me not use my phone for a certain amount of time. But there are indeed a lot of methods, more methods are coming up because this has become a trend or a thing among millennials and Gen Z. So Hyun, I want to ask you, is there any particular digital detox method that has grabbed your attention?
Yeah, other than throwing away your smartphone into Han River, there are several. I'm sorry. There are even like accommodations where you are not allowed to bring in your smartphones. There are yoga classes that purely just focuses on your inner thoughts without looking at anything, including screens, obviously. And even like tea class trials to relax your mind and cool your brain down from any kind of stimulants. There is even a book cafe that is trending among MZers who find it really hard to stay away from digital devices. So what you have to do is hand in your smartphones at the counter, go inside, just read books. And if you really want to touch your phone, you just got to leave the book cafe. So you can only find it when you actually leave the cafe. So, I mean, there are many different interesting places where they're trying to help, many people, detox from digital devices. Luckily, I'm not that addicted to. I'm not sure, but personally, I think I'm not that addicted yet. But I'm always, cautious about how much screen time I'm getting, like every week. Because even on my phone, it tells you, you spend this amount of time on your phone this week, and compared to last week, you spent this amount more or less. So I always kind of, keep track of how much screen time I'm getting every week.
Right. I think that one of the methods that you mentioned that really caught my attention was how millennials and Gen Zs are even paying their own money to do digital detox. So I want to ask you, Walter, are you willing to try out, for example, these book cafes that you have to hand your phones in and read a book?
Personally, no, not for me. I would say, I am a tech nerd. As I said, I want to be away from tech, but I love my tech at the same time. And being attached to my phone, I look at social media, I do online shopping, obviously YouTube as well. Now, Keelan mentioned it before, he uses his screen time application to see how long he's done it. So according to my screen time statistics, I'm on my phone roughly 8 hours a day, which I don't understand how that works.
1/3?
1/3 of the day.
A day?
I think I worked it out that I do use my phone for things like navigation, so that means it will be turned on, will be used for about an hour or 2 hours per day.
Yeah.
That still leaves 6 hours of screen time. I don't know where I put it because I think I'm busy. Well, I thought I was busy. I use Google Chrome a lot by my statistics. Though, I am into reading books. Back to your question, I am into reading books. I don't think a cafe like that is something I would be interested in. I'd be more needing another substitute stimulus, like doing something I enjoy, like playing guitar or playing sport. Those are the things that would be much more beneficial to me, I think.
Right, because there are a lot of ways that you can try out digital detoxing. Now, again, my question for you, Kyun, is how much do you think that you need these methods, digital detox methods? Do you think that you are digitally attached?
Well, I have my laptop in front of me and my smartphone's right here, and I'm tempted to, touch my phone. But to be honest, when I do fall into that trap of watching a lot of YouTube contents and like flickering through social media feeds, I kind of like lose track of my time and forget what I was meant to do. And then that's when I realized, oh no, this is not a good sign. So I do fall into that trap. So what I do is when I do exercise, I try to leave my phone at home and just, disconnect myself from my phone. And I think that's a great way a good excuse to detox for yourself. And even when I'm at the gym, I see a lot of people on their phones like while they're exercising, and I'm just thinking, does that really help you, lose weight? So when I'm actually exercising, I'm just purely focused on that. And just other than exercising, when I'm just working, I'm just purely focused on what I'm doing right in front of me at task instead of, being distracted, because I think smartphones are like the best device to get distracted.
Right, definitely. So based on our discussion, it seems that all three of us have tried digital detoxing. So expanding from this, is like taking a break from these devices also a trend in other parts of the world?
Yeah, just quickly, I know that in the United States, in some states, there are proposals to pass laws to make social media unavailable for people under the age of 14, which I completely agree with. I don't think that anyone, I think it should be raised to 16, to be honest with you. Anyone under the age of 16 or 14 shouldn't be able to access social media because there are obviously these addiction situations and addictive situations. And I think I wouldn't want my daughter to be addicted to social media at such a young age.
Right. So now, expand even further, we also asked our viewers whether they've done a digital detox, and if so, how. And here's what 3 of them had to say. So if we look at the comments, Leon first says, "I try to abstain from using social media when I'm in a low mood, as social media nowadays is filled with lots of negativity. I use the time instead to regain focus and improve my ability to concentrate on what truly matters." Tasmia says, "I leave home without taking my phone and just go where there is nature so that I can meditate and appreciate nature without any distractions from digital gadgets." Sayan says, "I periodically take a month off from Instagram. It's hard in the first few days because it's such a habit to use it while waiting." So our viewers also gave us some great advice and ways to try digital detoxing. So we're now going to turn to an expert in psychology to find out why millennials and Gen Zs are into digital detox these days. We'll be right back, so stay tuned. So today we're joined by Eun-jung Lee, a therapist at the UME Psychological and Counseling Services in Seoul. Welcome, Eun-jung, to the show.
Hello.
Great, good morning. Now, our first question for you today is, why do you think this digital detox is catching on so much among millennials and Gen Zs these days?
The rising trend of digital detox, I think it reflects the desire to take better care of themselves. Feel exhausted and overwhelmed in today's world, where we're constantly connected to screens and overwhelming information. It's easy to get caught up in digital distractions and lose touch with what's happening around us. And also some researchers have shown that spending too much time on screen can make us feel depressed and anxious, and especially our sleep. So more and more people are trying to find a balance between their screen time and other activities to combat these negative effects by taking breaks from technology. They're aiming to feel more present and mindful in their daily lives, which ultimately helps improve their mental well-being.
Eun-jung, it's interesting to see that millennials and Gen Zs are actually spending money to curb their tech addiction, such as by using a digital detox app. What's your take on why they're going to these lengths?
The digital detox apps actually give you control over how much time you spend on your devices. They let you set limits on screen time and block distracting apps or websites. This helps you to feel more in charge of your digital habits and choose to take a break from your devices when needed. And plus, many of these apps offer rewards from using them. So you might earn a small cash rewards or virtual rewards like growing a digital tree. These encourage you to spend less time on your screens and do other activities instead. So it's like getting a little prize for taking a break from your devices.
I'd love to hear advice from an expert on how can we keep our tech obsession in check.
I think it's realistically it's really hard, but the first step is to become aware of your own screen time habits.
Right.
Excessive. So engaging in hobbies that foster real-world connections, such as exercising or reading or other activities, can also help redirect focus away from screens. So implementing a detox app strategy in real life can be an effective method for monitoring and managing screen time. So providing yourself with small rewards, such as enjoying a dessert or purchasing a small gift, as a way to reward digital detox habits, can further reinforce positive behaviors.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Eun-jung, for your valuable insights today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Well, so today we talked about the risks of being too much attached to digital devices, but there are, of course, we can't ignore the fact that these digital devices and technology has become an integral part of our lives, and they actually has brought us a lot of convenience and great comfort to our daily lives. So I think that what's really important is finding the best way to use these devices in the healthiest manner. So before we wrap up, do you guys have any of your own advice or tips that you'd like to give?
So in the case for using my phone too much, this is sort of my own little mind game trick that I play on myself. First, I've deleted many applications, all right? So I try not to clutter my phone too much because, you know, obviously the more apps you have, the more likely you're going to open them. What I also do, and I don't know if this is just me being silly or being stupid to myself, but I move my applications around quite constantly. So they're not always in the same place like on a weekly basis. So I find myself having to try and look for where I put the application. And by the time I think, oh, I shouldn't really be looking at this so much, I move the application to another place on the phone. And therefore, it stops me from using that application because I try to think, hey,
Where is it?
Where is it? Oh, I should not really be looking at it this much. And once I start getting used to where the placement is, then I move it again. So that's how I try and check myself when it comes to using my phone too much.
Self-checking, really important. What
Yes.
about you, Kyun?
Just echoing what Walter said, I should just delete all my apps.
All of
I might as well. No, I'm joking. Other than, you know, not looking at my phone or leaving my phone at home when I do exercise, when I go out for a run or a walk, when I do read books, I mean, I don't read books every day, but when I do read books, what I do is I set a timer for like perhaps maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes on my phone, obviously, but I put it on silent and I keep that away. I put it away like in a distant, far away, and I just purely focus on what I'm doing or just reading, because if I have my phone next to me, obviously I'll get distracted, and you know, it reduces your attention span as well. So this is one method I do is, first of all, reading is really good for you. Second of all, I put it on silent and
silent
set a
mode.
timer. So maybe you guys can try that out.
Right. So hope our discussion today helps our viewers create a healthy relationship with their digital devices. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today, but NewsGen is here every day from 9:30 to 10 a.m. Korea time, bringing you more topics young people are talking about. Special thanks today to Park Ki-hun
Always a pleasure.
and Walter Lee.
Lovely to be here.
Thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely weekend. We'll see you on Monday. We are News
News Generation.
Generation.